Broncos Country, what is poppin'? We are back at it again with the State of the Union for a Broncos positional group, and today we are focusing on the tight ends. A couple days ago, I had put one up about the wide receivers. That was the first positional group we went out to, and it was really in honor of Demaryius Thomas being inducted into the Ring of Fame this upcoming season. And the next one on the list that I wanted to do was tight ends, because as we know, the big positions that we've been talking about really the entire offseason have been running back, wide receiver, and tight ends. Not in any particular order, but any positional group that involves more weapons for Bo Nix, we have heavily discussed. And the tight end room last year was by far and away, like you thought our running back room was bad, our tight end room was historically bad. When you get somebody like Will Dissly be able to get more receptions and more yards and more touchdowns by himself than the entire room combined, you've got a serious issue. And so we're going to break down the current room after the moves in the offseason, and we're going to talk about it. So like, comment, subscribe, guys, if you haven't already to the channel. If you love Denver sports, I think you're going to love the channel, man. Join the community, and let's have a ball. So let's get into it. Tight end one, the prized free agent signing this last offseason was Evan Engram. Absolutely massive that we were able to get somebody like him here without needing to really give up any assets on a deal that, you know, is very team friendly. And the only knock that you've got on someone like Ingram is obviously his injury history, right? He has missed quite a bit of games in his career, but in the years that he has been healthy, and really he missed some time last year in 2024, and then prior to that, he really played a majority of the games in 23, in 22, 21, and 2020, and he was very productive in all of those years. So, you know, it's not as bad as people are making it out to be, but Evan Engram is going to be ultimately the biggest X factor in terms of the ceiling of what this offense is capable of doing this year. He brings a dynamic playmaking ability to the tight end room. Obviously, he's not going to do much for you as a blocker, but he can stretch the field. He can get open across the middle of the field. He can get you some yak. He is basically a bona fide big wide receiver that will match up against safeties and linebackers and absolutely be able to win consistently. And I think Bo Nix is going to love him. So hopefully he can stay healthy, and he is vastly going to raise the ceiling of this tight end room. But after that, it's really a lot of the same. A lot of the same as what we had last year, right? Now, obviously, we know we drafted Caleb Lohner in the seventh round. We'll get into him. But you've still got Trautman, and like it or not, Trautman is a very valuable piece of this offense. He's a valuable piece to a Sean Payton offense because of his ability to block and line up anywhere. And if you have him as your tight end 2, that's going to be a much better situation for your team, because that's exactly what he is, at best, a tight end 2. So you're not going to be reliant on him to get open as much. He can just focus on doing all the dirty work, the things that don't necessarily show up on the stat sheet. And whenever he gets the opportunity down the road, he's going to be able to knock it out. And ain't no problems with that. Tight end number 3 also is Nate Adkins, right? The root beer vape legend himself, Nate Adkins. And yes, we had a lot of fun with the root beer vape story. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you're going to have to do your research. But he's a big fan of the root beer vapes. But obviously that was all just fun and games. When it comes down to it, Nate Adkins is actually a really solid player, man. He's one of those guys on teams that are just, he makes it extremely difficult for coaching staffs and for front offices to get rid of him, because he can do a lot of things. If you need him to catch the ball, he's shown some ability there. He's a great blocker. He can line up in the backfield as a fullback and play in the flanker role. A lot of different versatility that he's got. And in addition to that, he's a four-phase special teams player. So I don't have any doubts that he's going to be somebody that makes a team. I think he should make it over somebody like Michael Burton. I don't think we need Michael Burton to take up a roster spot just to, play 20% of the snaps at fullback. I think Nate Adkins is plenty capable of doing that, and he could probably do it a little bit better. And he's still a younger player. So I do like those 3 guys as being absolute locks for the team. Now, I was one of the more pessimistic guys when we drafted Caleb Lohner. I loved the story. I thought it was going to be very intriguing, and it certainly is going to be as we head into the rest of the offseason. But what he showed at rookie minicamp, and what a lot of the media members locally here had said, he's somebody that, man, he could have a role in this offense, and he could be someone that wins in the red zone. And I don't think he's going to get a lot of catches, But I think if the ones that he does get, he's going to be able to make them very valuable, and he's certainly going to make them count. I'm intrigued by him. But guys, I still can't get over the fact that within the last 12 months, he learned how to put on football pants. That is crazy, right? But, 4 catches, 4 touchdowns, you got to love it. He had less football snaps in college than Bo Nix had starting football games. So obviously unbelievably raw, but he seems like he's got the right headspace. He seems like he's got a good enough, body structure and put in enough strength, and he's a good enough athlete to be able to win. So it's going to be interesting to see how we ultimately utilize him. But let's face it, guys. Let's be real with ourselves. Caleb Lohner makes the tight end room more exciting because of the storylines, but I don't think in year one he's really going to raise the ceiling of the overall room, right? So something that's interesting to keep tabs on. We'll see what he ends up doing. And then obviously the bubble guys are going to be Lucas Krull and Cole Fotheringham, which I still can't get over the fact that we have somebody on our team named Cole Fotheringham, right? He was a late addition. We had signed him, I think, well after the draft. And he's got a little bit of a history in the league. I mean, he's got 3 years in the NFL, mainly with the Vegas Raiders, I believe. But he's, always been more of let me pull up some more information on Cole Fotheringham. But he's always been somebody that's more of a practice squad guy or special teams. But he's played in 2 games from what it looks like in his career, and he has 1 catch for 6 yards. So sure, you can make the argument, guys. I mean, he's 27 years old, so it's not like he's unbelievably young, but he's obviously not very old, doesn't have a lot of experience. So there could be some more room for growth. But what kind of a player is he going to be? I don't know. He wasn't really that great of an athlete. 6'4", 246. It's solid size. He ran a 5.07 40-yard dash at his pro day. So he is going to be a blocking tight end at best for this team. I don't know if he makes it. So when you look at it, and you look at this room, and after Evan Engram, it is a severe and it is a very cataclysmic, unbelievably concerning drop-off if something were to happen with Evan Engram, which begs the question of, are the Broncos going to make more moves here? And I would be absolutely blown away, shocked if we don't. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to go out there and make a trade, right, for somebody big. But there's going to be guys that we bring in, no doubt about it. I don't care if it's from the UFL. I don't care if it's, from late camp cuts of some older vet players. And maybe it is a trade. But we need to add to this room. And it's one of those where you can't really predict, this is an option, that's an option. I mean, we've talked about Mark Andrews for a long time. It's going to be a fluid thing. I don't think ultimately anything's going to come from that. There's been some whispers about Kyle Pitts being available and some teams reaching out to him. I don't think he really fits that because you have Evan Engram and Kyle Pitts. You've got 2 unbelievably athletic tight ends. I mean, you've got to love that. But you have to remember that Sean Payton needs to have a tight end that can at least block. If you can't block, Evan Engram will play a lot. He's not a blocker. But another tight end that can't block is not really going to get that much snaps, or they're going to just take away from the wide receiver room. So I think that we need to do whatever we can to be able to find somebody that is, maybe they're a vet. They're not going to blow the top off of anything. They're not going to be the biggest name, but they're just someone that makes a lot of sense for the Broncos, that can block, that can show that he can catch, and that can do a little bit of everything when it's all said and done. The one guy that makes the most sense to me still, and there's obviously a reason why he hasn't been signed. There's clearly a reason behind it. So I don't know what it is. It could be that he's contemplating retirement. It could be that maybe he's coming off of some sort of injury. I don't know what it is. But that's Gerald Everett. And it doesn't make sense to me why he's not signed yet. He'll be 31 years old here soon. He's played in the year for 7 years, so he's not very old. I mean, same age as Evan Engram. And he's been very solid over the course of his career, to be honest with you. He's someone that can block. He's someone that can catch the football. He's a pretty damn good athlete. And, it doesn't make sense, but he's had some very, very solid years. Not, like I said, not anything that's going to, blow the house down. But I do want to share a little bit of, of what what Gerald Everett has brought over the course of his career. And what I like about it is he's played with, Sean McVay, and he's played, for a few years. Then he went to Seattle, playing. I think Pete Carroll was there for one of those years, and then he played with the Chargers for a couple seasons, but very consistent, right? Not going to blow you away in terms of the numbers, but he's been, beyond solid. This just these stats right here by himself, he would have been a massive, massive upgrade for what we got out of the tight ends last year, which is obviously not saying all that much. But what's nice about Gerald Everett too is he would be a wonderful tight end too for this team. If you needed for him to be a blocker, he can do that. He's got really good experience over his career, and he's graded out to be a really solid blocker throughout the course of his career, especially the last few years, right? You can see he got better and better at throughout the course of his career as a pass blocker. And then when you look at him as a run blocker, right? Yes, he's had, not the best grades. He's had up and down seasons, but look at the amount of experience. He's gotten 1,300 plus snaps at run blocking. So he's got a lot of experience, and you're definitely going to do a lot worse out there in terms of guys that are going to be available. So he's someone that I feel like makes a lot of sense. And, even looking at the rest of the available tight ends, right? Mercedes Lewis, I'm not kicking the can on that. I mean, I love the fact that he's 41 and still wants to play. I think it's an unbelievable career. But, Jordan Akins is somebody that could make sense. CJ Uzoma, someone that also could make sense, right? You're talking about true tight end twos. Hayden Hurst is still going to be out there. And I know that a couple of these guys are coming off some pretty serious injuries. I think Hayden Hurst is one of them. But you got to look at it, guys, and say, yeah, any of these guys absolutely helps the overall room for this team, in my opinion, big time. And I think he's somebody that, without a doubt, should make a lot of sense. So I would like to see any one of these tight ends, but I would say probably Gerald, of the guys that I'm looking at, I like Gerald Everett, and I think Hayden Hurst are two guys that make a whole ton of sense to really be able to bring this tight end room to another level. And I'll probably have an entirely separate video dedicated to these free agents that are available, individually. We'll go in depth on those. But, overall, guys, like I had said, I think that when you look at the room and you look at kind of where we're at right now, I think with Evan Engram and Adam Trautman, I can look at it and say it's a C+, B- room overall, right? At best. Evan Engram gets hurt, you're immediately down to an F, and that's what makes it scary. You do not want to put yourself in that position. I was definitely bummed that we didn't take advantage of what I thought was a really good tight end draft class. It's something that I think is a little bit frustrating, but I get it. Sometimes the board just doesn't fall your way. You had to address other positions. In the first round, you're not going to reach for a tight end. We know the reports of who they wanted. Those guys went early, way early in the draft. So you kind of live with it, and you're grateful that you have Evan Engram, and you'll take it, week by week at this point. But I expect for some tight ends to become available via trade at some point later on as training camp gets going. Teams are always looking at ways to be able to save money or maybe get some assets if they have some up and coming young players that are really good. So there's always going to be new names available. So we're going to talk about it definitely as much as we can in the coming weeks. But let me know what you guys' thoughts about the tight ends. Who are somebody that maybe you'd like to see the Broncos go out there and get? And are you optimistic about anybody else on this, anybody that we've discussed that's currently on this roster aside from Evan Engram? Let me know why below in the comments. Till the next video. Y'all be sure to take it easy, man. Go Broncos, and peace out.